All right. All right, so today's a little different. We're not going to read the story again. We're going to talk about the author that wrote the story. She is one of my favorite authors. Her name, she has a neat name, I think. Her name is Mem Fox. Can you say that? Mem Fox. Yes. Mem Fox. Mem. All right. So listen, you're going to do some listening today, because you're going to be writing some information about Mem Fox. You're going to have to find 3 things that you didn't know, and most of you know who Mem Fox is, so you've got to listen for 3 facts about Mem Fox. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to read a little story about Mem Fox, and then we actually have a video of her. The actual real Mem Fox. Okay? What?
She's still alive.
She is still alive. So I'm going to wait for Kylie to get settled.
Eli's hands.
What?
After we like do this and watch the video, come here.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's what I would do first. We're going to talk about Mem Fox. I'm going to read the little story about Mem Fox. We're going to watch the little video. It's only like 6 minutes. I would do that first while they're still in my mind. I want to come up with 3 things that I've learned about Mem Fox. I'm going to give it to you after, because I want you listening. Knox, let go of Eli. All right, so let's read about Mem Fox.
Is she author?
So here's a table of contents, because this is a nonfiction book. A table of contents is a text feature. We've talked about this before. Contents means what? Who remembers? Contents means what's
in the book.
In the book. That's right. Contents means what is in there. What's the contents of a box of cereal?
What's the contents?
Cereal. That's right. What's the contents of a macaroni and cheese box?
Macaroni and cheese.
What's the contents of a chicken noodle can?
Chicken noodles.
So a table of contents. Knox and Eli need to stop being silly. This is on video now, but I've had to say that. So if you were doing a research project on Mem Fox and you just needed a few pieces of information, you could go to the table of contents. You wouldn't have to read the whole book. You could just go to the part that you needed. Like, who is she? You just want to know who she was. You would go and find out who she was. So a table of contents helps you find information that you need quickly. And all nonfiction books are going to have a table of contents so that you don't have to read the whole book. You can go just to the parts you need if you're doing some research. Okay? All right. Mem Fox. Who is she? Mem Fox is Australia's most popular children's book author. She was born in Australia, raised in Africa, and studied in England. She now lives back in Australia, where she's very passionate about children learning how to read. Who's making that noise while I'm reading? Whoever it is needs to stop, because you're stopping when I stop reading, but when I'm talking, you're doing it. So it needs to stop. What does Mem Fox do for a living? What is she?
A human.
Well, she is a human. You are correct. But what does she do? What's her job, Danny?
An author.
Yeah, she's an author of children's books. That's what she does. She writes children's books.
It would be weird.
Where does she live?
Australia.
Australia. Yes. So
she.
well, I can too, because they speak English.
What?
They have an accent. You're going to hear her accent.
Like this. Welcome aboard, mate.
Yeah, they say good day, mate. So they have an accent, but they speak English. So she was born in Australia. Then they moved to Africa. So she was raised in Africa as a child. Then when she went to school, she studied in England, and then she moved back to Australia. And this is called the Sydney Opera House. That's a famous landmark in Australia.
Yeah, I see that on
Okay.
movies.
Her early life. Mem Fox was born in Australia in 1946. Shortly after she was born, her family moved to Zimbabwe in Africa, where she attended school and lived for 19 years. As a young girl, Mem did a lot of acting. After living in Africa, she went to drama school in London for 3 years. It was there that she met her husband, Malcolm Fox. And this is the Zimbabwe flag. Oops. So it's just showing you that she spent most of the time she was a child and going to school in Zimbabwe, Africa. And then when she was old enough to go to college, she went to college in England. Did she start out as an author? What did she like to do when she was younger? Act. And drama school is where you go to learn to be an actor. So she really wasn't even a children's author then. Writing wasn't something she did. Acting was what she wanted to do. Maddox?
They like kind of speak. Are they speaking British or some British?
Well, they speak English just like we do. They just have an accent.
It's British and
Okay.
American.
Becoming an author. In her early 30s, Mem Fox studied children's literature at university, which is college. It was there that she wrote her first book. Although she's a famous writer, teaching is actually her first love. She taught at Flinders University for 24 years. So instead of becoming an actress, what did she become? A teacher. Yeah, and while she was teaching, she wrote her first children's book. And that's actually a picture of Mem Fox right there. That's really her.
You have to read a lot.
The first book that Mem Fox wrote and published was Possum Magic. Although it was rejected by publishers 9 times, rejected means they didn't think it could be a good book. They said, nope, we're not going to turn it into a book. It's now her best-selling book. She sold over 4 million copies of Possum Magic. 10 Little Fingers and 10 Little Toes was on the New York Times bestseller list for 18 weeks in 2008 and 2009. She has now written more than 40 books. So she's written a lot of books. And that just shows a picture of a possum. Her inspiration for her first book, Possum Magic. Interesting facts. Mem Fox has received many awards and honors as an author. She has visited the USA more than 100 times. Mem continues to still write children's books. The Australian government sent her book 10 Little Fingers and 10 Little Toes as their official gift to the royal baby Prince George in 2013. Her passion right now is being a devoted grandmother. Come in.
You can just walk in, you know.
I can. Not with your mother. I could. Miss Ricky, it's just good to see you.
Good seeing
There's
you.
another lady waiting to see you.
Okay. Do you have him? No.
Okay.
I don't.
You don't know.
I don't.
Suzanne.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Because when I back up, I don't always have my beeper on.
Okay. We're going to wait and see. I do. If you have money for the book fair, Hayes, yours is on my table over there. I'm actually recording. It's okay. That's part of school. Did you find it, Hayes? Okay. So when, yes, where's your money?
I got
Knox,
it.
go get that. I've got Knox, Kitty. All right, so have you learned some things about Mem Fox so far?
Yes.
Okay. She's actually not in there right now, so you'll just stay. Okay, just hit stop. Right, she had to leave. All right, so I've learned several things. I've learned more than three things about Mem Fox that I could write. I thought it was very interesting that she wanted to be an actress and actually went to school to be an actor, but ended up being a teacher.
Yeah. And then an author.
And then she became an author.
She had lost her.
And now she likes being a grandmother. All right, so quietly go back to your seats and we're going to watch the little short video. And then I will let you get started. Shh, quietly go back to your seat, please. Quietly go back to your seat, please. Quietly go back to your seat. Shh. Hurry, Knox. Hurry. Shh. Hey, you should be facing this way. Move that over there. Move this over there. Back over there, other way.
It's so cold. I just tried. She is here. I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead and turn both lights off.
I was born in Australia, and when I was 6 months old, my parents, who were missionaries, went to what was then Southern Rhodesia. It is now called Zimbabwe. And I grew up as a white child, at first totally among black children. I spoke English with a very broad African accent. I went barefoot, rode wild donkeys, went off a day, all day long with my parents having no idea where I was, but knowing that I was safe. And it was idyllic. I grew up in a very book-loving household. My parents had all of Dickens, Shakespeare, all the great poets, Madame Bovary. It really, Crime and Punishment. The major books of the world were. I lived in a library, really, and people think, oh, she grew up on a mission in Africa. Oh, that must have been so hard. That must have been, so deprived. In fact, it was a fabulous, fabulous childhood. Both educationally, my family, interracially, I knew that. I knew the color had no. The color was literally skin deep. I knew that it didn't make a person a better friend because they were black. It didn't make them a worse friend because they were black. I knew that some people were horrible and some people were funny and some people were kind, but it didn't matter what color they were. I've always loved writing, and I've always been passionately aware of race, and I think I have a subliminal desire to make the world realize how similar it is to itself instead of how different it is. You know, everything in my life sort of points to that. I'm very concerned about that. And it's not just between black and white, it's between Christian and Muslim, and it's between Sunni and Shia, you know, within Islam. I mean, it's all of us who scrape against each other and wind each other up and kill each other instead of saying, oh, you have a son, so do I. Do you love that son? I adore my son. Gosh, we both have a grandmother. Is yours causing you problems? Mine has lost her memory. Yours too? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. You know, that's not the kind of conversation we have. We just keep looking at the differences, and it's awful. It's awful. I was a teacher of teachers in a university full-time for 24 years, teaching teachers how to teach reading and writing, and also teaching teachers themselves how to write, which was wonderful and great fun. So the passion of my life now, as a retired university professor, is stalking parents all over the world, I guess you could put it like that, and begging them, almost on bended knee, to read to their children every day for 10 minutes or so, every day between birth and 5, because the children who've been read to, who have learned to love books, who know how to turn pages, who've seen print, who've talked about pictures, who've had conversations with adults, endless conversations about what they're reading. Those children bond with their parents bond with them, they all bond with books. The children grow up happy because they know that they're loved, because their parents actually take time to be with them every single day. Their brains develop in a most fantastic way. So pediatricians are begging children to be read to, begging parents to read to children. Speech pathologists are begging parents to read to children. It's not just me. I'm not on some kind of mad high horse with some, great hobby that's going. It is a hugely, hugely important thing to be doing. But I know from having been an educator of teachers for 24 years that nothing is as important in learning how to read than being read to every day from birth to 5. So that's my passion, and that is really who I am. Well, partly the reason why it's important to read to them constantly, whatever age they are, is because when we're reading to them, especially when they're older kids, and it is wonderful if they'll let us read to them. But some kids say, I can read by myself, I don't want you to read to me anymore. And you have to let them go, which is really heartbreaking. But if your child will let you read at 8 and 9, when they are already able to read, we are reading to them things that they could never read by themselves.
What does she really think? What does she really believe about reading? What has she just been talking about?
Passion.
But what's her passion? I mean, she's passionate
She loves reading.
for parents to
To
read
love
to their kids. Yes, she thinks that's very
I
important.
can read myself.
I know, but she's saying it's still important for parents to still read to their kids.
Cause like chapters,
Yeah.
I
They
can't
can
read.
completely understand because they're listening. They're not reading it, they're listening to it. And in the context of the story, they understand every word. Whereas if they were reading it, they wouldn't. But if we're reading always something that's more difficult than they can read themselves, when they come to that book later, or books like that, they will be able to read them. Which is why even a 5th grade teacher, even a 10th grade teacher, even a, end of high school teacher should still be reading to children aloud, because there's always something that is too intractable for kids to read on their own. You're always pushing them ahead, that little bit harder, that little bit harder. That's why we should keep reading forever.
For more author interviews, recommended reading lists, and information about teaching kids to read, Please
So
visit us
she
online
is
at
a teacher first and
www.readingrocks.
foremost who is passionate about reading. All right, if you'll get the lights for me, Taylor. As soon as I finish giving you your assignment, then I'll let you go. But you're going to wait. All right, so I'm going to give you this sheet. There's a little place right here where you're kind of you draw a picture of Mem Fox. I liked her hair. Why do I like her hair? It's kind of short. What color is her hair? She's kind of a redhead, yeah. And then you're going to write 3 things you learned about Mem Fox. Well, I didn't say tell me the 3 things you learned. You're going to write the 3 things you learned, okay? Yes, write sentences. All right.